Now, the U.S. Penitentiary in Terre Haute is making headlines again this week. The Associated Press revealed Wednesday that the Bureau of Prisons failed to disclose two journalists covering executions tested positive for COVID-19. The Bureau knowingly withheld that information from other journalists who were potentially exposed and conducted no contact tracing. Those two journalists are my colleagues, Adam Pinsker and George Hale. Since this summer, they have been covering the federal executions in Terre Haute. George joins us now from his home where he's been isolating for 10 days. George, I understand you were the first to test positive. How did you find out?
I found out through routine testing that Indiana University conducts as part of our, way to protect the campus, and as part of our office's way to protect the newsroom from, infecting others. And so we always make sure that we get tested when we return to Bloomington. So I got tested the Tuesday after the final executions and found out 2 days later on Thursday.
Do you know how you were exposed?
We don't know for sure. The health department registered my symptoms as beginning the Saturday we returned from Terre Haute. That means it could have been possibly a little bit sooner than the executions, or it could have been during that week. We were there all week for about 5 days, covering 3 different executions.
When did you notify the prison bureau about that test?
About 4 hours after I received it.
So were you able to find out why the government didn't take any action, and are other reporters concerned?
Yeah, so the prison bureau said that it would have conducted a contact tracing procedure if we had notified them within 2 days of of the symptoms being felt. And so since the test was 3 or 4 days after the last execution, in their view, it was not necessary to inform anyone. I think it's important, though, that to point out, though, that since my symptoms technically started the final day of the execution, it was a few hours after it ended, about 12 hours later, I sort of got ill. So theoretically, I was exposing people to the virus the entire time I was there for that final execution. So we were obviously very concerned about the well-being of the other journalists and even the staff.
We're just under 30 seconds, but you've been reporting on the execution-related COVID outbreaks in particular. How does this connect to litigation over the prison's COVID policies?
Yeah, and it actually was just the latest development in a long sort of string of issues where the Bureau of Prisons has been claiming that they're taking precautions while defense attorneys and journalists like myself insist that they're not.
Well, George, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you soon back in the newsroom.
Thanks, Joe.